Okay, aloha mai kako. Mahalo nui everyone for joining us. Kalamai, we had some technical difficulties with the chat feature, but I think it's working now. So aloha nui. Mahalo again for joining us. We're pretty excited to be able to finally release this project with everyone. Just one moment. Okay. So if you have some time, if you can kind of drop in the chat, let us know where you're zooming in from today, what community you're representing or what organization you're bringing into the space. And then if you have something that you want to share with us about what you're hoping to kind of get out of today's session, we would love to hear that too. And so we'll go ahead and get started. We'll do some centering, some grounding, kind of open up the space. Let's take some breaths. Let's hanumai, breathe in. Hanuaku, breathe out. Hanumai. Hanuaku. Hanumai. Hanuaku. Hemu oya. Hemu. Hemu na moi ino na moi moi ana puno no na hamia hemu oya. Hemu eli noa yae noa kohonua. E ho mai ka ike mai luna mai e. Una mea huna no eo. Ona mele. E ho mai. E ho mai. E ho mai e. E ho mai ka ike mai luna mai e. Una mea huna no eo. Ona mele. E ho mai. E ho mai. E ho mai e. Ho mai ka ike mai luna mai e. Ona mea huna no eo. Ona mele. E ho mai. E ho mai. E ho mai e. Okay. Aloha mai kako. Mahalo everyone. We're just seeing how many folks are joining us today. We're really excited. So just some logistics I want to kind of get out of the way before we get started. So we're using the Zoom webinar feature today, and this does limit your ability to turn on your camera as well as to unmute yourself. So please feel free to go ahead and post any questions that you have in that Q&A panel that you see at the bottom of your Zoom screen. And then throughout the presentation, we'll be checking on that and answering what we can, or we'll bring it up in order to talk about it during the presentation. We'll also leave some time to answer some questions and talk story toward the end of today's session. If you do want to unmute, you can let us know and we can unmute you so that you can share verbally in the space, or we can make you a panelist also if you would prefer. Please feel free to also utilize the chat throughout our time today. We'll be monitoring that. This training has been approved by the Alcohol and Drug Abuse Division for CSAC, CCS, CPS, CCJP, CSAPA, and social worker continuing education credit hours. So please note that you must be present on the Zoom in order to receive CE credits. And then following the webinar today, you'll be asked to complete an evaluation. And so if you can take just a moment to complete that evaluation, it's pretty quick and it helps us to really improve and expand what we offer through webinars and trainings. And then for those wishing to claim any continuing education credit, that evaluation form will auto-direct you to the attendance verification form. And then once you complete that, you'll receive an email that certifies your attendance and credit hours and has your approval number on it. And then that email will serve as your credit letter for licensure. A link will also be sent to you in a follow-up email via Zoom. and we'll make sure that you have that link. So if you don't get it the first time around, just make sure you email us, and as long as we can have a record of your attendance, so we can share with you that link again. So I want to share a little bit about me. So, olili noi ko I kawa ko I noa no pi'i honua ma ka moko ke ave mai au. Au mauna wa kia ku mauna, o wailuku ku uwai, eia ko mau kumu, loa'a keola I ka halawa ola. So my name is Lily Noi. Oh, call it my feedback in the audio. Okay, one sec. How's that? Is that better? Okay, we're good? Okay. So my name is Lily Noi Kohikawa. I'm from the Ahupa'a of Pi'i Honua in Hilo on Hawai'i Island. And so the two sources that I bring in with me when I enter into spaces that I connect to in my wahipana or Mauna Kea and the Wailuku River. These are both on Hawai'i Island. And so these are the sources that I want to bring into the space with me that help to ground me. I identify as being on my healing journey and in recovery for about 12 years now. I have lived experience in addiction, dealing with mental health issues, as well as justice involvement. And a large part of my journey into healing has been and will continue to be anchored in reconnection and regrounding to my cultural identity. And so today I serve as a population health specialist with Ola Lōkahi, where I focus on addictions, mental health, and social justice within the Native Hawaiian community, and specifically in cultural approaches to these areas. So I'm really grateful to be able to do this work because it so closely aligns with the healing pathway that I took in my own life. And so we're really excited to share with everyone today the project we've been working on for, I think, past over a year now, which was in part funded by the Hawaii Health Harm Reduction Center. And it's titled Hui Ana Nā Moku, The Islands Shall Unite. This is some of our cover art here. Islands Shall Unite, which is a harm reduction toolkit for Native Hawaiian communities. But before we go ahead and jump into that, I want to give you some background on us, Ola Lōkahi, who we are and how we approach our work in substance use. So Ola Lōkahi is the Native Hawaiian Health Board, for those who may not be familiar, and we provide administrative oversight of the Native Hawaiian Healthcare Improvement Act. We work to uplift the health status of Native Hawaiians and their ohana here in Hawaii, as well as on the continent. And we do this through strategic partnerships, programs, and public policy. We also serve as the body with which federal agencies shall enter into consultation around issues of Hawaiian health policy and healthcare. Additionally, under the Native Hawaiian Healthcare Improvement Act, we also support 5 Native Hawaiian healthcare systems that provide direct healthcare services Pai'aina-wide, and those are located on Hawai'i Island, Maui, Molokai, Oahu, and Kauai. And you'll see their websites in the chat if you'd like to learn more about or connect with these Native Hawaiian healthcare systems on your islands. Oops, sorry, missed a slide. This is where they're all at. So in order to perpetuate our mission as an Indigenous organization working to address these issues with mental health and substance use within our Native Hawaiian communities, our organization has worked to really conceptualize a new system of care for Native Hawaiians. And so in the chat, we'll also share some links to review another recent project, which was a chapter for the upcoming Hawaii Alcohol and Drug Abuse Division state plan. Through this site, you can view our webinars and read our chapter, which begins on page 159. And it's entitled Conceptualizing a New System of Care for Native Hawaiians and Substance Use. And so as we kind of conceptualize this new system, which houses all that we really know that to heal our people, right? We really have to look to the ike of our past in order to provide the guidance for our future moving forward. And we know that our people thrived, right? Thrived in Hawaii for centuries before Western contact. We developed complex systems of resource management called ahupua'a, right, or land divisions, of interconnected systems that stretched from the mountain to the sea, all connected through through water, which flowed through each one of our systems, each system section to bring life. And no one system functioned independently. And then Kanaka, our people, would tend to these systems knowing that the resources were finite and that the land must flourish in order for us to survive. So our people really understood that health must include a balance between the mind, body, and spirit, as well as the individual, family, community, and environment, along with spirituality, as you'll see depicted here on the screen through the triangles, which represent that reciprocal nature, really, of these relationships in a Hawaiian worldview. So these aspects were really fundamental to maintaining optimal health, or mauliola. And then we had Western influence, right? And this colonization, which triggered an imbalance in Native Hawaiian society, which shifted the paradigm of Native Hawaiian family systems. Alongside historical, cultural, and intergenerational traumas, which stemmed from the impact of colonization and the criminalization of the Native identity. So the outcomes of these traumas are really reflected in the higher rates of health disparities, which includes mental health and addiction, which all have then impacted our own social and cultural determinants of health. So the way this imbalance kind of manifests in our systems today is really this disproportionate representation of Native Hawaiians in substance use and mental health services, as well as incarceration. So as you kind of see over here through the graph that's on the screen right now, the dotted line represents the 20% of the population that Native Hawaiians account for here in Hawaii. And then the bars represent the percentages of Native Hawaiians that are admitted to treatment. So our people have consistently been overrepresented for over 2 decades. And these existing systems of care really continue to assign treatment within the same Western frameworks that have led to this consistent overrepresentation. So Native Hawaiians also have among the highest incidences of behavioral health problems. However, data like this really only tells us part of the story, right? It tells us what's happening right now is not really working, right? So many Western practices are centered in more kind of egocentric or an individualistic worldview, which doesn't necessarily resonate with Kanaka, right? Kanaka Maoli, who are really more eco or sociocentric. So, understanding ourselves really in relation to the environment, that land all around us and the social world, right? So our ohana, our communities. And so these contrasting perceptions of self can create this culturally unsafe practices and are too often ineffective for our people. So for the answer and the visioning for these processes, we always look to our ike kupuna, our ancestral knowledge that's been passed down through generations about what our people need to heal. And so a roadmap for this process comes to us from a community collaboration whose vision it was to ensure that Native Hawaiians, their families, and communities have access to substance use and mental health care services that honor culturally responsive treatment. So this partnership was blessed with the name Imi Kiola Mau by Hulu Kupuna Auntie Malia Craver, and it translates to perpetuate a life of health and healing. So this foundational work brought together countless Native Hawaiian organizations and kupuna who paved the way for this work in the decades prior. And so I kind of want to share some of these quotes from that visioning to really help paint a picture for how we work in this field. So in order for Native Hawaiians to heal and recover from substance use and mental health issues, we need a sense of place which provides anchors for our values and balance in life. We need immediate access to and availability of a safe, healthy environment, which includes all natural elements such as kai, salt water, vai, our fresh water, ea, our air, and aina, our land, our soil, and then all of the animate and inanimate aspects of nature, which make up this physical environment. To heal, we need more than just Western practices, for those practices are not what's going to make our people well. The motivation comes from caring for our sources, the aina, and the reward is our own wellness, which we perpetuate in all of our relationships through caring for the aina. We need the resiliency and protection our culture provides in order to prevent relapse and redefine ourselves away from pathological diagnosis. We need a sense of self retrieved from our past through ancestors, present through purpose, and future through descendants. We need our language, traditions, and ceremonies. which provide ways to reconnect our spirituality and our concept of source. We need our land and other natural resources, our language, our aumakua, our deified ancestors, our kupuna, our elders, our ohana, and our roles as makua, as men, women, mahu, and as kamali'i, our children. We need not become Western to heal. That last line is my favorite, right? Because I feel like it kind of just brings everything together. We need not become Western to heal. So with this roadmap in mind, you can scan that QR code on the screen if you want to read this report. So with that roadmap in mind, I want to share with you folks an Aina-based model of the ahupa'a. And this is the model. This is a model that's influenced by the healing forest model, which was created by White Bison, as well as Dr. Keawe Koholopula's framework for the social and cultural determinants of health. So we bring in this ahupa'a model to provide a metaphorical and living model to view the ongoing impacts of colonization, of historical traumas and other risk factors on Native peoples, and provide a resonant model of a Native system that's grounded in that reciprocal relationship of kanaka to aina and spirituality in order to achieve collective healing, our mauliola. So the ahupa'a is the living, breathing example of this thriving, healthy Native system. Which is all connected through vai, right, our water, which flows through every interconnected system, right, ho'okahe vai ho'olu aina, where the water flows, the land thrives. And so if the water that is flowing through these systems is not healthy, like let's say maybe it's contaminated by pollutants, right, then we are not healthy because the water is flowing through all the interconnected systems of the ahupa'a, and then everything becomes unbalanced and unhealthy. So the left side of this image here, we see risk factors that impact Native Hawaiian individuals, ohana, and communities. So this is like colonization or historical, racial, cultural trauma and discrimination. These impacts are carried through the ahupa'a system, impacting generations that then emerge from the land. So these risk factors are visually depicted in the ua or the rain, right, to symbolically show that cyclical transmission of these risk factors all through the water cycle. So vai, right, water, is life for our people and for our lands. But also, as we all kind of know too well, right, the health of our vai is constantly at risk from external contamination. And so like we've seen with things like Red Hill and really far too many other examples, our vai is going to take time to heal from all of this contamination, even as it continues to cycle through that water cycle. So if we can kind of visualize these risk factors cycling through our ahupa'a, through the vai as a conduit, as the risk factors contaminate or contaminants penetrate the land, they create layers of anger, guilt, and shame and fear, or this eha, right, in the soil. This eha, that pain and that trauma is then passed down from generation to generation and becomes compounded by unresolved grief. So that eha, or that unhealthy impacted soil, then runs off into the kahawai, our river, and is carried then downstream, which impacts the rest of our interconnected systems. So everything starts to become unbalanced. And so we can look at this ahupa'a, right, as a reflection of our own ohana, our communities, ourselves, and really even our care systems. So if we zoom in to look at the impact then maybe that this has on one of our systems, right, like let's say the lo'i, this the lo'i right here, which is if you're not familiar, is a wetland system for growing taro. We can use that lo'i kind of as an aina-based model to really visualize the internal and the external impacts of trauma and the manifesting symptom of substance use on our lahui ecosystem. So within the lo'i, we can then look at kalo really as a reflection of ourselves, of haloa, right, who is our ancestor, our root, our older sibling, right, as our stories tell us, and then that which feeds our people. And then as that unhealthy soil starts to enter into our lo'i, it becomes that which feeds that next generation of kalo that then emerge from it. And today we have generations of our people who are maybe born with all of this internal eha buried down deep within them. And if that eha begins to bubble up to the surface, it can start to manifest in a lot of different ways that we might see today. anger, violence, substance use, mental health issues. These are the symptoms, right, that give way to an unhealthy environment, our unhealthy ahupua'a. But just as that trauma is passed down generationally, our ancestors also passed down strengths, resilience, and the protection that our culture provides, which then flows through and impacts all of our systems as well. So you can see this depicted on the right side of the image here. So if we then focus in on these protective factors, we can see a path forward in cleaning our water of the risk factors to improve and increase our protective and resiliency factors for generations to come. So on a macro level, right, we're creating a healthy ahupua'a where our people thrive. We achieve mauliola through a collective balance of reciprocal relationships between kanaka, aina, and spirituality. And then on a more micro level, let's imagine, okay, like maybe we're working in the lo'i one day and we find this one little kalo that's sick, right? It's manifesting trauma as addiction. At first, we have to look around to the other kalo, right? To find the source of this sickness. Are the other kalo sick? Is the whole lo'i sick, right? Is this whole area sick? How could this sickness be getting in? We have to start looking up the awai, up these waterways, and up the kahawai, up the river, for the source of that sickness, right? This pollution, this eha. And if we can't find the source of this ma'i, right, the sickness, then we instead decide that we're just going to go ahead and take one of these kalo out. We're going to heal it, and then we're going to throw it right back into that potentially unhealthy environment. It's only going to get sick again. So this is kind of what we're doing through incarceration and residential treatment off island, right? We're pulling people out, we're trying to fix them, and then we're dropping them right back into their unhealthy environment. And that environment hasn't had a chance to heal. So if we only continue to treat these surface symptoms that we can see, we'll only continue to get the same result because we haven't addressed that root. So we really have to put in the work to address the roots of these problems and we're looking far enough up the system, digging in deep enough to find the source that's contributing to these unhealthy environments. And so this model provides us a framework really to implement cultural interventions at various places within the ahupua'a to effectively provide healing that impacts not only the individual, but the ohana and the community as well. And these interventions within this framework would aim to effectively decrease the intergenerational transmission of risk factors and increase the intergenerational transmission of protective and resiliency factors. So cleaning our vai, right? We're cleaning our vai as it traverses through all of these interconnected systems and then is reborn like once again through the water cycle, right? Evaporated up, born again through the water cycle to fall down as ua once again. So this increase in protective factors helps to contribute to this healthy lo'i, this healthy ahupua'a through the soil that is then vai. It's rich, right? It's rich with our values, our Lōkahi, our balance, our mauliola, our health, our mana, our spiritual energy, and our pilina, right? Our connections, bonds. These are all foundational values of our thriving la hui, which you'll see again all depicted on the right side here. So as we're embracing this more culturally grounded approach, we would effectively provide this paradigm shift in how communities relate to those who use substances, as well as how those who use substances understand themselves and what healing might look like for them. And, you know, imagine the empowerment, right, of nurturing and uplifting these unique gifts that are contained within Native Hawaiian protective and resiliency factors, right, contained within our culture, and the impact that that's going to have on someone's life, how they grow up, how they see themselves. So by understanding all of these kind of multiple threads that are impacting our lives, we can start to envision a more robust, comprehensive, and holistic approach that blends cultural intervention and are more effective and of more value to Native persons. And so these systems and cultural practices, they exist all around us today. And as we continue to develop this model and all of our projects, we're looking at what fits where within this function of the whole system. So what kind of interventions do we bring into this model? What's the lesson, right? In the va'a, in the lokui'a, or in the lo'i, right? In the lo'i here, we can bring our people into the lepo, into the dirt, right? Inside the lo'i, feeling the mud between their toes, connecting to the aina, teaching lessons through our mo'olelo, our ka'au, about, you know, our ancestral stories about haloa, about kalo, about all of our cultural practices. and then really getting into what these practices can teach us about our own health and our own healing. So we utilize the ahupua'a as a foundational framing moving forward in all of our work in the area of substance use and mental health in Native communities. Okay, and so a little background again on the project, this project that we're presenting on today. Back in 2021, H3RC, Hawaii Health Harm Reduction, reached out to us with the idea to create a toolkit that really took a cultural approach to harm reduction. And it was important to both of our organizations that the mana'o for this cultural approach came from the Native Hawaiian community. So using the ahupua'a as our lens, we began holding stakeholder meetings virtually, right, because of COVID back in October of 2021. Holding one session per island in an effort to really capture those unique strengths and needs and concerns of each island. So we found that each island had incredible grassroots organizations committed to providing cultural healing in the areas of substance use. However, many of them faced ongoing challenges with both funding and being asked to fit their programs into a Western box. Each of these island communities voiced the need for continued conversation and a need to begin from a strong foundation of culture when addressing substance use in our island communities. So knowing that substance use is a symptom of a much deeper trauma. So it was clear that more in-depth conversations needed to happen in order to really dive into what a cultural approach to harm reduction could look like. With additional funding from Hawaii Health Harm Reduction, we were, along with another wonderful organization of Kanaka, which is called A'ali'i Alliance, we held phase 2 of our in-person meetings, our community listening sessions on each island, which focused on diving really deep into substance use in our communities, as well as cultural healing. It was through these discussions that a cultural approach was envisioned through uplifting the protective and resiliency factors that our culture provides. That whole visioning began to take shape through these meetings. It was clear that these conversations regarding a cultural approach to harm reduction were really difficult. If you're a part of those meetings, you probably remember, right? Many people expressed how harm reduction was such a Western concept and that it was difficult to apply a cultural lens to this concept. As the discussion kind of continued, we began to shift, or really kind of ho'i kapiko, right? Returning to our center, centering ourselves in an approach, in the foundations of our culture and how we interact with one another, as well as the world around us. So how we malama one another, how we malama aina, and the aina, right, malamas us. These are some pictures from those meetings on different islands. So along this journey, we also reached out to other Indigenous organizations across the Northern American continent who are doing incredible work with Indigenous harm reduction, such as the First Nations Health Authority in Canada and the California Consortium for Urban Indian Health. And so their experience and work have been really foundational in the framing and development of our resources. And so as this project progressed, we combined all of this mana'o collected through each of our kuka sessions on each island, along with the wisdom we learned from our Indigenous cousins and the input of our Addictions and Culture Advisory Council, and grew this really unique resource aimed at uplifting and increasing protective and resiliency factors that our culture provides and reducing the harms of colonization in our Kanaka communities. So I also want to give a huge mahalo to our artist, whose name is Kimo Apaka, who drew all of the original artwork in this resource, including the gorgeous title page, which you'll see that depicts our inoa. He also drew the ahupua'a image that I shared earlier. It was really important for us to create Native visibility and representation in the art, and we were so incredibly grateful to have Kimo on the project. And I'm sure you'll all see why in the intricate details that he included to create exactly what we were looking for throughout this resource. So I'll read through some of the first few pages as they really help to frame this resource. This is the table of this is the cover page, and this is the table of contents. Before I jump in, was there any questions before I start diving into this resource? As you can see, it's very big. Okay. The PowerPoint, yes, I can make that available. Is there a link to the Ahupa model from Dr. Koholokula? So Dr. Koholokula's model is the social and cultural determinants of health that you'll actually see right here. This is Dr. Koholokula's model. This Ahupa'a model was something that we developed as Ola Lōkahi. You can view this in those links that were posted in the chat for the ADAD state plan. It's in that right now. We'll also be making that public if people want to just read more about that aspect too. Okay. Okay, here we go. Okay. Next page. Okay, so the first page with some content on it is a message from Ola Lōkahi, as well as our Cultural and Addictions Advisory Council, whose names are listed below along with their organization and the communities they represent. And we mahalo each and every one of them. I'm gonna just read their names real quick. We have Auntie Lahela Cruz, Auntie Jackie Hong, Auntie Sherry Lynn from Kahale Pomai. We have Dr. Hannah Preston Peter of Bisac. We have Dr. Palamali. We have Kavena Bagano. We have Kumo Kanoelani Davis. Oops. Call my folks using a computer I'm not familiar with today. So we have Leonani Meyer, Kupono Lucero, and Dr. Jared Pukano Kialoha Euro, as well as Makani Tabura. So it's members of our advisory council. So utilizing our Pilina, we really work to weave Ike Ku'una, our traditional ancestral knowledge and traditional practices, along with Kanaka Maoli values, into harm reduction strategies and service, using our culture as the foundation, right? We support harm reduction as an integral approach to achieving Mauliola. And we preference a Kanaka Maoli approach that strengthens conventional harm reduction by weaving in culture, teachings, community, and connections into Ike Ku'una, Aina, and a Hawaiian worldview. So this holistic approach really supports physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional well-being, and helps to rebuild connections and relationships between our ohana, ourselves, our communities, our culture, and our ancestors. So we ho'i ka piko, right? Return to our center to elevate our Hawaiian ways of knowing, of doing, and of being, which are all strongly connected to holism, spirituality, and relationships to Aina. So this new resource, again, is entitled Hui Ana Nā Moku, which means the island shall unite, and is a harm reduction toolkit for Native Hawaiian communities. And so the ike for this title comes from the Oli Ei Hoana, and refers to this uniting of our people in rebuilding bonds and connections to rise together and thrive as one. So these bonds and connections are also depicted through our title page, which I'll show you again at the end. So the Oli Ei Hoana was adapted from the prophecy of Kapihe, who was a Hawaiian prophet back in the 1800s. And this was also prior to the unification of the islands under Kamehameha. So he predicted that the archipelago of the islands from Kahiki, which indicated foreign lands that are not Hawaii, all the way to Hawaii, would be joined together as one. And so this prophecy has been reclaimed by Kanaka Maoli, and today Ei Hoana is a symbol of unity and of bringing together Kanaka Maoli from all over the world to stand together as one. And so the line within the Oli, Hui Ana Nā Moku, refers to this uniting of the islands. And so this mana'o extends to our Kanaka Maoli, who now find themselves living away from their ancestral homeland. So we all come together, united in rebuilding the bonds and relationships that keep us connected and strong as a lahui. And so we've included links for additional learning where possible. Here you'll see a link and to learn the Oli. The link will take you to the Pu'uhuluhulu protocol page, which you can listen to the Oli. You can review a bunch of different Oli as well there. And we'll circle back to the Oli at the end of our time together. So why did we create this resource? Substance use substance use is an issue that disproportionately impacts Kanaka Maoli. And although there are many factors that really influence substance misuse, it's often a symptom of this much deeper trauma, right? That's stemming from cultural, historical, and intergenerational traumas. So many of our Native Ohana today carry this intergenerational trauma that's been created over generations by oppression and criminalization of the Native identity. And so as these trauma scars are carried, right, they cause deep internal eha that becomes kamaha, or heavy suffering and weight. And that manifests many times as mental illness, substance use, and violence, as well as many other manifestations. This is something that we saw in the Ahupua'a model. So recognizing the root causes of these issues is vital in developing effective, culturally informed ways to engage in collective healing from trauma. Our ancestral values in celebrating resilience outcomes are influenced by many incredible strengths and protections that are passed down through generations. As the numbers of death and overdose continue to rise across all of our islands and all of our communities, there's no ohana that is left untouched by the devastation that the current drug use epidemic has left. And so in combination with methamphetamines and other illegal drugs, fentanyl has now found its way into the hands of too many people. In Hawaii, it's becoming a major cause of drug overdose and death among 18 to 45-year-olds. And what our people used to believe were recreational drugs now are the very same ones that may take their life, and sometimes almost instantly. Without knowing this, opioids are mixed with other drugs, and as a result, our overdose is more common than ever. Just 2 milligrams, which is the size of 2 grains of beach sand, are enough to cause irreversible harm or death. Preventable death from drug overdose and diseases transmitted through the sharing of drug equipment are issues that are the topic of most solution-focused discussions in Kanaka Maoli communities each and every day. And Kanaka Maoli communities across Hawaii and beyond have continued to show their resilience and strength in healing from the impacts of colonization by approaching healing in different ways than our Western continuum of services currently provides. So in most cases, the current models of caring in Hawaii are not necessarily grounded in Hawaiian ways of doing, of knowing, and of being. So how do we hope that you will use this resource, right? So this toolkit aims to provide methods for Native Hawaiian communities and those serving Native Hawaiian communities to A, rebuild bonds and connections to themselves and one another, and to B, promote the cultural resilience and knowledge that kept our people healthy and thriving for generations. With tools such as the Aloha Response and the Kukuluhumuhana Wellbeing Framework, we hope that to help communities engage in principles and practices through a Kanaka lens of healing and harm reduction. So our section that's focused on culture and healing, which we'll get to in a moment here, recognizes that culture is the medicine that can help us heal. So we have to find ways that everyone can participate in culture, including those who use substances. If we create barriers, right, barriers to cultural connection only perpetuate more disconnection and the further loss of cultural identity. So throughout this section of the toolkit, you'll find ike that is shared by cultural practitioners throughout Hawaii who work with those who use substances, as well as additional links to various cultural learning opportunities aimed at supporting your learning and further exploration of these areas of connection. And the order of this toolkit is also very intentional and grounding ourselves in Ike Hawaii and in keeping our people and communities safe. And so when we approach this work, it's important to remember that we're not providing substance use treatment. Instead, we are increasing knowledge and awareness in the community of healing pathways that connect us to the protective and resiliency factors our culture provides us, all of us, including those who use substances. And so subsequent sections of this toolkit will cover education and awareness about opioids and overdose, including risk factors for kupuna and opio with opioids and other substances, and ways to keep them safe. This toolkit also features a robust dispelling myths section, which includes myths coming directly from our communities. Our person first language shame and stigma section provides a Kanaka lens through Mo'olelo and Ola Lōkahi for understanding the power that words have to affect how we see ourselves and how we see others. And then finally, this toolkit will provide resources for support, including peer support, community training, resources lists, and a glossary of Hawaiian terms regarding substance use and mental health. Okay, so now I am going to dive into some of the cultural sections. Okay, can you folks see that? Yes, you see the PDF? Okay, we'll hope so. Okay, cool. Okay, so diving into the further section. So I'm gonna go through the whole toolkit with you folks, okay? And I'm also, we have a guest speaker that's gonna share in just a few moments. Is here, awesome. Okay, so I'm gonna share, so harm reduction Hawaii aims to reduce harms caused by colonization in Native communities. We aim to help develop a community understanding of harm reduction and to help develop a community and cultural approach to reducing harm and promoting healing. So in order to develop this community understanding, we need to take a look at some of the examples of harm reduction that exist in our communities already. So there's a lot of safety measures that are familiar to us that that can be thought of as harm reduction, like wearing seatbelts in a car, putting on helmets when riding a bike or a motorcycle, or even using condoms during sex. But in the realm of substance use, some common examples of Western harm reduction programming, services, and supplies are often educating people about substance use and harm reduction, making safe drug use equipment available, like sterile syringes for safer injection and safer disposal of equipment, establishing safer use sites, distributing naloxone kits, which is the opioid overdose reversal medication, expanding medication-assisted treatments, developing housing options with low barriers and wraparound services, as well as providing peer support. However, harm reduction in Hawaii goes beyond providing these essential services, programs, and supplies, and includes the attitudes, actions, and understanding that we as Ohana, as community members, and as healthcare service providers hold. So harm reduction is also a way to acknowledge the harmful impacts of colonization while creating space for healing conversations, culture, and connection. So what does harm reduction look like in our Native communities? Okay. So harm reduction in Native communities is a process of ho'i kapiko. So we're returning again to that center, to that source, to elevate our Native Hawaiian ways of doing, knowing, and being. Hawaiian communities are rooted in a foundation of aloha as a way of being, right? A way of knowing, and as this foundational concept for interacting with one another and the world around us. Our mainstream or Western models of harm reduction are often focused on behavioral risks rather than examining the systemic changes required to support people on their healing journey. A Hawaiian approach to harm reduction requires us instead to address the systemic inequities and racism that have caused harm in our communities. Our historical and ongoing colonialism, racism, intergenerational trauma, and barriers to accessing healthcare and social services are some of the root causes of substance use and addiction. So the concepts and practices of Hui Ana Nā Moku have been developed by interweaving the ike gathered through our conversations with the Native community across Hawaii in what harm reduction should look like, feel like, and sound like in our Native communities. Our culture as medicine section here. So for some, harm reduction may be considered a modern or Western concept that does not necessarily fit with the Kanaka approach to healing. Alcohol and modern day prescription and illicit substances didn't exist in Hawaii, right, until Western contact and colonization. Also, the concept of ma'i, or sickness in Hawaii, takes one of two forms. It's ma'i kama'aina, which refers to Hawaiian sicknesses, which have Hawaiian roots, and ma'i kama'aina, which is Western or introduced sickness. So you can read more about those concepts in these dark purple boxes, which are extra information about all of these concepts. However, we can start to think about substance use and the root of this kind of ma'i as much deeper. And it can be really almost understood as a combination of ma'i kama'aina and ma'i malihini. So the illicit substance and prescription medications that we know today were introduced to Hawaiian society, right, during colonization. And the manifesting symptom of addiction is a ma'i malihini, right, or an introduced sickness. However, addiction is only the symptom that we see on the surface. Addiction, again, is that symptom of a deeper trauma, one that results in the imbalance of a Kanaka worldview of health and of Mauliola, right? And must also be addressed as a ma'ikama'aina. So for Hawaiian sickness, Hawaiian healing. Understanding these concepts requires deep reflection and study with practitioners of Hawaiian healing, of Hawaiian healing and who study ma'i that contributes to this unhealthy Kanaka environment. So many of our cultural practices and ceremonies may require a period of abstaining from substances, while others may include medicinal substances such as awa. And while some ceremonies and cultural practices may always require abstinence, a harm reduction perspective can create space for innovation and support, and it recognizes that culture is the medicine that can help us heal. So this harm reduction approach calls for us to look at ways, again, that everyone can participate in culture, whether or not they are using substances. So in exploring culture as a strength, a source of resilience, as a way to connect, and as medicine, it's critical for us to consider how we can include people who use substances within the work that we do by increasing access to culture. So this is going to look different in every community, it may even differ among family groups. As we know, every community has unique culture and traditions. Some examples are access to aina-based healing, working in the mala, in the lo'i, in the lokui'a, right? Preparing mea'ai. Access to culture and building wellness should be accessible to all Kanaka, regardless of whether they use substances. So harm reduction can be preventative and supportive with relationship building, support, and connection as the key harm reduction practices. And so we recognize that harm reduction is not necessarily straightforward and that maintaining those relationships and connections can be really difficult. But also these practices are key in keeping the people that we care about safe. So it's important to build these connections anywhere that we can. And it's just as important that we take the time to look after our own needs, right? So one of the first tools in this section is the Aloha response and allyship. So the ike, the knowledge from this section of the Aloha response comes to us from Ho'opono Shem and Atipilahi Paki. So there's a couple of terms folks may not be familiar with in this section. One is ally, which is typically a person that stands beside and supporting another person or group with an identity they do not hold. Another concept may be the healing journey. And so this refers to the pathway of healing and recovery. So this term healing journey is more inclusive of all the different pathways of healing from substance use, that all the different pathways that it can take. And it's also more inclusive of harm reduction pathways of healing. So when we enter into a space of allyship for those on their healing journey, we want folks to remember to practice aloha always. So we bring in Atipilahi Paki's mana'o about the spirit of aloha, right? It's the coordination of mind and heart within each person. It brings each person to the self. Each person must think and emote good feelings to others. So our next steps here, Ola Lōkahi offers the culturally focused recovery and healing allyship training. It's currently a 4-hour training, and participants are offered the opportunity to take an allyship pledge and receive a beautiful placard for their home or office, indicating that they're in Aloha Zone, providing safe spaces for those on their healing journey to talk and potentially be connected with services. So this training is modeled after the LGBTQIA+ Safe Zone training at UH, and we mahalo their input in creating safe spaces. We're also very grateful to Uncle Pono Shim, who had helped us to call upon the Aloha response as the foundation for this training, and his guidance will forever be cherished. And you'll see some of this original artwork starting on these pages. Our Kukulu Kumohana Wellbeing Framework we've brought into this, which was developed by Lili'uokalani Trust, the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, Kamehameha Schools, and the Consuelo Foundation, as well as others. Oh, Kalamai, you guys can hear me? Okay. So this is a transformative model that can be utilized by individuals, families, and communities for holistic well-being. And so when we apply the Kukulu Kumohana Wellbeing Framework as practice for those who use substances or those working with those who use substances within the Native Hawaiian community, we then have a model of harm reduction concepts and principles and practices that are rooted in Ike Hawaii. So the following dimensions have been developed as a way to understand holistic well-being in practice for Kanaka, their ohana, and communities as they navigate the reduction of harm for those who use substances. So I'm not going to go through all these dimensions. I'm just going to share the screen. This is our example of the wellness dimension EA. So if you're not familiar with this wellness framework, there are 6 dimensions that make up well-being. So this dimension EA, which means self-determination, or in other words, having control over your own life. So we've included these healing and harm reduction principles and practices that then align with each of these wellness dimensions. So for some examples of personal practice for someone who uses substances to connect and explore their EA would be to acknowledge that healing is about knowing who you are, learning from who you were, where you've been, and reaching for your true potential. Making choices that are pono to you. It's about progress, not perfection. And healing is about the journey and not the destination. It's about patience and reflection along the way and giving yourself time to find the path that is right for you. Some examples of ohana and community practice are to serve and kako'o those in need without judgment, without expectation, to educate yourself so that you view addiction as a health and social issue, not a moral or criminal issue, to advocate for organizational policy changes that promote a pono society for those who are affected by substance use. So here are some of the other wellness dimensions that I'll let you folks go through on your own once you get the download. Some of our next steps with this framework are to develop trainings, which will be provided both in person and virtually, including neighbor islands at the request of our neighbor island communities, as well as providing printed materials. So these trainings will provide a way for Papua to share our approach to healing and harm reduction through this reconnection to culture as medicine. Our Culture is Healing section provides a deeper dive into Hawaiian worldview, which I shared earlier in the presentation, so I'm not really going to go back over it, but it's about this reciprocal relationship, right, between Kanaka, Aina, and spirituality. So we've included worksheets both in the resource material as well as external ones to explore and strengthen your worldview. We've collected additional resources in a resource folder that you'll see linked here through QR codes. All of our resources within this toolkit have QR codes, embedded links, as well as tiny URLs so that the material is easy to access however you need it. So if you print it out, you can type in the tiny URL. If you're using it digitally, you can just click on it. If you need to use your phone, you can scan that. So this next section, I want to go ahead and invite our guest speaker, Kawila Kelly Kanakaole, who I am super excited to have join us today, and Kalamai for running a bit over our time, or like a lot over our time. Kalamai, can we? Oh, awesome! You're already inside.
Yes, Kalamai, I cannot turn on my my camera.
Okay, 1 second. Let's see. Napua, could you make him a co-host?
Should be good to go now. Mahalo.
Okay. Mahalo. Aloha. Also, happy birthday. So it's Kawila's birthday. I'm gonna put him on blast, but
you can Venmo me at 4. No. It's okay.
No, mahalo for joining us. Mahalo for sharing space with us on your birthday, and for just super grateful that you took time to come spend with us today.
No, mahalo ya oe no ke kono no mahiti.
Mahalo. So I want to talk about this Oli section. So this Oli section, let me back it up a little bit.
Okay. I can just vehe real fast, Tito.
Yeah.
My kai.
Yeah.
It's real fast.
Yeah.
E lua I po hakulua ua ena e pele ke ha olo e la ke au ke lele lai unai lava ka veve ko o e lalo ia kia eli kau mai.
Mahalo.
No, mahalo ya oi.
Mahalo. Sometimes we get like just in the groove and like, mahalo for being like, you know what, I need to do this right now. I appreciate you.
Yes, I was like, okay, wait, this girl is rapping out. Let's just have a little spiritual break.
Yeah.
And I fell right back into it.
Awesome. Mahalo. So I wanted Kawila to come share and about this Oli section, which was really inspired by a session that he did with us. So the healing journey, as we've kind of talked about, is very much this internal process of self-discovery. And so throughout this process, right, it's important for us to create safe space for ourselves during this really intense time of reflection and healing. Yeah. So this section here, creating your ku'ahu and creating space through Oli, was inspired again by Kawila's section, this incredible webinar that he did for us last year, which was titled Tani Ku'ahu and Adjusting Your Inner Hurricane. So the QR code in this section links to that full session if you want to check it out. It's really awesome. Kawila and his mother, Auntie Kekuhi, also haku these two Oli that you'll see in this section, which share with us in creating this space for healing, setting this personal intention, and then igniting all that is within us. So, we're super grateful to be able to share these resources with everyone, to share these Oli, which have listening QR codes on them. They also have printable cards that people can print out for themselves. So Kawila and I have you here. I wanted to see if you would share with us the importance of creating ku'ahu and using Oli when we're working on our own healing.
So I have a very I don't want to say scripted, but I articulated it in a way where I'm gonna just say it so you can get the whole picture. Okay, so the tiny ku'ahu. So the ku'ahu, if you don't know, the ku'ahu is defined as an altar or shrine, and it can be defined in many different vocabulary, like different elation of the word, but this is how I see it because this is what I was raised in. In Hawai'i, the ku'ahu is an elevated place or space or structure where ceremony and rituals are conducted and where offerings are made to ancestors, entities, or deities, inciting inspiration and creativity. The tiny ku'ahu space was created for inciting joy, happiness, and healing through ritual conversations. So it really is a space that the sessions that I created on this webinar are to uplift voices in our community. And through music and again, ritual, like that's why I asked Lilino if we can open this space, because you make the ritual yourself, you become the ritual, you become the ceremony, and you are the aha. So that's who I am. And like Lilino said, like it's a rediscovering or just discovering period who you are. And that's me. What else I was gonna say? Through music, ritual, and conversations to promote a balanced lifestyle, mental health, well-being, and just overall aloha. In the same way that traditional ku'ahu brings intentions into focus through your offering and ritual, the series of sessions are designed to create like you said, a safe space to reflect and to connect in today's world, because today's world is very different from the days that our kupuna was in. And for me, the whole idea of the reason why I created these webinars was, I'll just tell you right now. Velina mai kako. O kawila nui makeha I kalani ke ali I kanako ole o hailileni ko uinua. No hilo Hawai'i mai ua hana ia ma wailuku maui. O mauna ke aku upiko. O mauna loa ku ui ieve a o wailoa a me waia kia ku'u vai. The tiny ku'ahu was actually, I'm saying this in the most like polite way I can, but I no care. because it's mine. I created it in more so a selfish reason because it was born out of a personal struggle. It was born out of my struggle with mental health. It was born out of my battle with depression and anxiety, especially during the pandemic and especially during our ku and kia'i no mauna kea. And the Tiny Kuahu platform gave me a renewed purpose and creative avenue in my pursuit for true joy and happiness and healing. Because over the years, I don't know where they went. They just been hell. They'll go take on beach cruise and never came home, you know? So the title of and the concept for Tiny Kuahu stems from two things: music and kuahu, obviously. The musical aspect is inspired by one of my favorite and popular NPR web series called Tiny Desk. Don't come for me, NPR. I'm just making it Hawai'i so Hawaiians can understand. And the kuahu aspect is a reflection of my own relationships to laka and kapo and aina and overall environment. My biggest hope for these series was that I hope through the Tiny Kuahu sessions and designs, of course, that Kanaka, especially Kanaka, and also non-Kanaka, can also find true joy in just the rituals and happiness in the conversation and healing in the overall experience. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Did I answer the question?
Yeah, totally. I was just mahalo you for sharing all of sharing your truth with us. I know that I turn to Oli a lot. I struggle with mental health issues. I've struggled with addiction in my past, and I turn to Oli, and I love the session that you provided for us, because I turn to Oli like when I need that like anchor, when I need to ground, when I need to like just clear all the space around me, need to bulky that stuff, right? Get it away and create like a space in myself with myself for healing and grounding. So I want to mahalo you for sharing how we can do that, how we can create this space for ourselves and cleansing, and the importance of the visibility of Kanaka in these spaces, and being able to speak as we being able to share stories in a way that we understand, right? In a way that makes sense to us and how we view the world and how we see healing. So mahalo to everything that you've created with Tiny Kuahu. Feel free to drop a link in the chat if for people to check out any of your Tiny Kuahu or whatever's next on the horizon for you. I did want to ask you one more question before I let you go. I was wondering, so yeah, like you were mentioning that the Tiny Kuahu was really born again to like this space for shared experiences and creating this visibility for Native Hawaiians that struggle with mental illness, substance use, and other things that may be impacting them, and giving them hope, and to help us all realize that we can talk about these issues, right? So how do you kind of see like these oli or this mana'o being utilized for people in the toolkit? Like, I actually went through and copied like whole quotes from your webinar into here about how to utilize the oli in setting up your kuahu. But I wonder if you would just touch on that, like how you would utilize these oli in creating your kuahu.
Shoot, Hikino. So in a condensed version, the Tiny Kuahu series is a series of sessions where I bring my personal experience to the table, and I ask an artist to come and share a part of themselves. And it's a completely organic and open and safe conversation. I don't give them prompts. I like say if somebody know some, oh shoot, kind of I just got somebody trying to call me. Shh. I'm not trying to prompt them to speak on anything that they're not comfortable with. So that's like kind of step one. You don't want to, unless you're ready for duum, then use the chants. But if you're not, like how you said, if you're not makoko, then don't get into it, because it's gonna like pretty much jam up your whole entire psyche. So the way I would use these chants, and that's why me and my mom it was an offering and a ho'okupu, because I offered a small portion of my kuahu to this, because that was my experience. Now, I'm not saying And because I was immersed in hula traditions, that's why I use the kuahu. And that's why I call it a tiny kuahu. And I still do the rituals, I still do the ceremony, but in a way that is accessible and approachable. So this toolkit, which I'm so happy Papa Ola Lōkahi and Lili Noima, like you guys did such an amazing job. And I'm happy to be a part of this process. It was just a small, tiny piece of what I hope for this. And so I would say, your kuahu is you. Yes, the kuahu is there. The laka is sitting in her kinolau in all her awesomeness. But ultimately, you have to realize that you are your own laka and you are your own kapo. And so when you are doing e kahiki na o ka la, you're setting that intention of, yes, I'm ready for heal. And even if you, I don't know, 1 step forward, 2 step back, relapse, something, it's okay. It's very okay, because I've been through that, and I know a lot of Kanaka like have been to the same space. But if you, that's why this is there. It's Eala is me to wake that person up in you, to wake up your kupuna who already resides in you, but unfortunately it has been, I don't know, I would say clouded by what society is today and what demands you have, and like, you know, everything I was talking about, mental health, depression, and addiction. That's how I would use it. If you're ready to do your opening and you're having that really hard time, like you said, Lilinoy, use this chant, awaken that person. You can be mad, you can cry, you can, like, I don't know, feeling some type of way. Trust me, it's gonna work. So I would say that's for the kahiki no okala. And what was the name of the other one we in right now?
Kumehina.
Oh, kumehina. So this one has to do more with balance. And for me, I would say kind of like the thing that you need is right there. And you're going to take this balance and you're going to hold it, because that's what you asked for. And towards the end, he said, Iola, what did I say? Ola Lōkahi. So you're telling your inner ku and your inner hina to hold it, that intention there, that focus, that aloha that you are asking for, and Ola, live, girl. Because there have been moments for a lot of Kanaka out there. Sorry, I get a little verklempt, but a lot of Kanaka didn't make it this far. And I use this Oli now because I need that intention. I need this space. I need this kuahu. I need people to hear me through the struggle and through the pain, because maybe they're going through the same thing. And if I can just help one Kanaka out there, then yes, Ola. So that's how I would use it. But always do it in that order, please. Because when you ask for the focus and intention, it's gonna come. It's gonna come because you asked for it. And then you gotta lock them in with the kuin, you know. And these, like I said, I built this space for it to be accessible to people. Me and my mom, we gifted it in a way that the Hui can heal as well. So, so much for condensed. That was like 7.
Oh, that was beautiful though. I mean, that was mahalo for that. Mahalo for sharing yourself. Mahalo for creating the space. Mahalo for you. And on your birthday. So mahalo now.
No, I really wanted to do this, and he was like 29. I was like, yes, because we just did a we kind of like family going through some things, and then we just did a aha up at the Pohakulua, and I was like, why not for a birthday week? Why don't I just do ceremony all week?
Yeah.
But in my own way and the way I know how to do, and that works for me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's beautiful.
If you like watch Tiny Kuahu sessions, just go YouTube them. Tiny Kuahu series, Tiny Kuahu sessions. You'll be lead to a website that's hosting it right now. I'm still trying to piece them together. But you just click on the episode. We have artists like the most recent one was my friend Isaac. He's from Oahu, Moreno. My uncle Kili'i was my friend. They're all family friends. We are all close, and they all have seen me in different spaces and times of my life where I was going through these things. And I bring up the uncomfortable things, but I just want them there to share what they want. I never want them to feel uncomfortable, but I'm like, again, if I can just help one connect out there, I'm down.
Yep, those sessions are beautiful. Mahalo for sharing. We'll try to get the link in the chat in a little bit. But yeah, no, mahalo to you for sharing this space with us. I can't say that enough, but mahalo to you. Please enjoy the rest of your birthday, and you got a lot of hau'oli lahanas in the chat too. I seen.
Oh, Hawaiian, thank you guys. Mahalo. No, fun fact, I don't really celebrate my birthday. I just be happy and laugh and get paid.
That's important too.
Yeah. Okay.
Mahalo for joining us, and I really appreciate it. And I let folks know that this section here again, there's QR codes, there's embedded links. You can watch the full session webinar that Kawila did for us. You can also print out these wrap cards with each of the oli on them. You can also listen to each of these oli to kind of help you learn them. And yeah, so reach out if you also need more support. We'll be sharing a form at the end to ask people just kind of their intentions with the toolkit, and then also if there's any additional support needed. So we'll put that in the chat later on as we get as we go through the rest of the toolkit. But mahalo nui Kawila, please enjoy the rest of your ceremony.
Yes, mahalo Lilinoi for having me, and then I will see you later.
Yes.
Okay. Mahalo ya kako, lamai ka happy healing. Eli kau mai.
Oh, okay, awesome. So freaking awesome, right? Okay. Wow, we could just, we have a whole nother session with him. I would be happy. Okay, so I will go through kind of the rest of these this section. Mahalo nui to my art tech team that is putting all of these resources in the chat for you. Kalama, I didn't post a lot of them beforehand. I apologize. But okay, so this next section looks at Hoi Wa'a. So we look at the historical aspects of canoe culture in ancient Hawaii, as well as kind of how today's traditions of Hoi Wa'a are perpetuated. So we take a look at the spiritual, emotional, mental, and physical connections to health that can be achieved through Hoi Wa'a. So the ike for this section, looking at the wa'a as a vehicle of healing, was inspired by a member of our Cultural and Addictions Advisory Council, Kupono Lucero, and her work with Malama Family Recovery on Maui. And so she teaches the functions of each seat in the canoe and helps her haumana to think about who they would want in their wa'a as they navigate over, the challenging and quickly changing conditions of the ocean. So the next section of this Hoi Wa'a comes from Uncle Halemano of Omaukiola. And so he shares with us the philosophy of the canoe, and he utilizes this philosophy to help youth coming in for substance treatment to connect to their culture, and the cultural understanding of healing. And so he shared that the canoe knows where we need to go and who we need to meet and when we have to be there. And his mana'o paints a picture of our ancestors, who navigates our canoe. And so I would highly recommend that you check out the video that's linked here on YouTube, and you can hear Uncle Halemano share this philosophy with beautiful artwork as well. Our next section looks at hula as healing. So the study of hula brings together these aspects, all of physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional health, right? Whole being, holistic health, along with social connection. So hula explores the meanings, stories, and metaphors of all of these accompanying mele, our songs, our oli, our chants, which all ties together with the mental and spiritual health, along with the attributes of physicality. The dancer becomes the conduit for this story. And so hula is healing art that can really help us to combat mental health issues, including substance use, by way of grounding ourselves. It serves as a protective factor in helping someone cope through learning the skill of hula while connecting to our mo'olelo and becoming a conduit for that knowledge. The rest of this section features quotes from diverse hula genealogies and perspectives. And I want to mahalo all of our kumu hula that contributed quotes about hula as healing, as well as we had many haumana that are in recovery, and those and several haumana from the Women's Correctional Facility who shared about how the impact healing through hula has made on their lives. I think I'm running out of time already. Folks, the toolkit is pretty big, so I'm gonna run through it. Give yourself some time to look through these quotes. They're beautiful and transformational and really touch on those aspects of holistic healing. So this section also features a trifold, a brochure that you can print out if you want to print it out for yourself. Many of these printable materials we also print and distribute during events, tablings, and trainings. The next section focuses on traditional healing and awa. This section was written by our Kupuna Council to share about the role of traditional healing and awa in cultural practice. And you can find out more about that by visiting our website and connecting with our Native Hawaiian healthcare systems. Here's our awa section. The next sections start to bring in the Western practices of harm reduction. So we're looking at drug awareness and overdose in these sections. We have a section on fentanyl awareness. This section covers a lot of information about what fentanyl is, how it's used, why it's dangerous. Section covers how all drugs can be laced with fentanyl, how fentanyl can be distributed differently within the same batches of drugs, why no two hits are necessarily the same, and that only 2 salt grains, the amount of only 2 salt grains of fentanyl could potentially produce a fatal overdose. We also have sections on fake pills and how similar to the original pills that they look like, and the danger of that within our communities. Our section on opioid overdose covers signs of overdoses, what can cause it, how we can reverse the overdose using the naloxone pictured here. We've created a visual step-by-step guide to administering naloxone in the event of an overdose, which we also share Act 68, which provides immunity for anyone administering naloxone in the event of an overdose. This section also has a trifold, which is available for printing, and we'll also be developing posters. All of these printable materials will also be translated into Ola Lōkahi. Here's a section on additional training from Hawai'i Health Harm Reduction, as well as Hawai'i Island Community Health Center, which both provide training on naloxone and distribution of free naloxone. You can download the trifold here. Our next section looks at kupuna and opioids. So this section shares about how our kupuna at higher risk for potential drug interactions and overdosing due to sometimes the difficulty in breaking down substances in the body later in life. Also, our kupuna maybe sometimes forget, if they have already taken a dose of their medication. So and our Native Hawaiian kupuna specifically have higher rates of chronic disease, including cancer and heart disease. So these are the health issues that are often associated with chronic pain and are often prescribed opioids for the pain. And opioids, when taken as directed by a health professional, can be a safe way to manage pain. However, it's possible for our kupuna to maybe forget they had already taken a dose and accidentally take another one. And often these medications can become expensive. Again, there's a danger with counterfeit pills, potentially, having substances like fentanyl in them. So it's important to really continuously check in on our kupuna and have that conversation to make sure that they're monitoring their medication properly and to see if they need any kokua in getting their medication and making sure that they're getting medication from the pharmacy and that, it is, and that they're able to pay for that so they don't need to go anywhere else, right? And that they also have strong social supports in their ohana, their community, and their friends. The next section brings in other drug awareness. So this section covers a myriad of other substances such as methamphetamines, cocaine, xylazine, hallucinogens, alcohol, vaping, and it provides a quick kind of rundown of the hook of each of these substances. What makes them appealing? What makes them? How does it get that hook into you, right? Like, what is the reason that we feel drawn, right? And so if we're able to kind of understand how that drug affects a person, it's really helpful in understanding why that person might use that substance. And so this section, we mahalo Dr. Kimo Alameda for inspiring this section. He gives incredible presentations for the schools around Hawaii and talks about about the hook in all of these substances and understanding how when you bridge through addiction, it goes from I want it, I like it, I need it, right? Like going through these steps of understanding, like when do we bridge into a dangerous space? Our next section here looks at opioid and substance use. So this section covers the increased use among our opioid population and how we can increase protective and resiliency factors for our youth in order to help them maintain healthy bonds. And so this section, we mahalo our C3 project interns that we had over the summer. They're all UH students, Heidi, Emily, and Kiara. They put together this section and the trifolds that are available for download for this section as well. There's also a link to potential resources on each island if you're interested. Our next section is dispelling myths. So this section was inspired by our communities, and we gathered many commonly heard myths in the community about drugs and about harm reduction in order to build this section. So shame and stigma are often born out of these myths that exist within our communities. And then, so with this section, we really kind of aim to dispel the stigma and bring increased education and awareness of these issues within our communities. There are several pertaining to drug myths and then several for harm reduction myths. Our next section is person first language, shame and stigma. So this section is rooted in the Ola Lōkahi, so in language, there is life, and in language, there is death. So words have this incredible power to heal, but they also have the power to destroy. So for examples of this, and to learn more about this, we bring in Hi'iaka and we look at her journey to fetch Lohi'au and her ka'ao, right? Her story of Pele and Hi'iaka, this epic tale of self-discovery, of confronting and overcoming obstacles and embracing inner strengths, and really, and the death of the old self to make way for a new resilience and a new birth. This is her epic, right? So Hi'iaka was renowned for her chanting prowess. So, along her journey, she battled fiercely with obstacles in front of her. She would chant to call upon other forces for help, call upon her own inner strength. And at times she would even call upon her ohana, or the opua, and the elements to come to aid her in her battles. So Hi'iaka chanted, her chanted words and her actions brought healing and life back into the body. So we also look at cultural examples of words and the intentions, how they carry power within them. Like when you wouldn't say negative things over the poibo, right? When the poibo was uncovered, you wouldn't say anything like that, right? Because our words and our intent is transferred really as energy into the things that we do. And so when we make food or we make like a lei for someone, it's important to keep our environment, our intent, and our words positive, because it's believed that any negativity, any words or other expressions, they could be passed into that thing that you're making, and then you're passing that on to someone else, and you wouldn't want to do that, right? That is not the kind of gift that you want to give. So bringing in that mana'o in this space so that we can understand the power of words and why our language matters. So our language matters, especially when we talk about people who use substances, and the way we choose to speak to those who struggle with substance use really makes a difference in their outcomes, because stigmatizing language can perpetuate shame, right? And so the rest of this section focuses on stigma. What is stigma, right? Stigma is our negative attitudes, beliefs, and behaviors about or towards a group of people because of their situation in life. And it includes discrimination, prejudice, judgment, and stereotypes, which can often isolate people who use substances. So where does this come from? Addiction is not a choice. It's a treatable medical condition, and it's often rooted in a much deeper trauma. Yet many of our people who are affected by addiction face stigma. And how does it affect people who use substances? So stigma can lead a person to avoid getting help because they're afraid of judgment or getting in trouble at work or with their families or even the law. It can cause a person to hide their drug use or use drugs alone. It can affect people's ability to find housing and jobs, which affects their health and their overall quality of life. And it can contribute to people who use drugs receiving a lower quality of care from healthcare systems when they try to access services. So we've included a section on changing the way that we also talk about drugs and about people who use substances. Here we've included a table for sharing, like, say this instead of this, right? So instead of saying addicts, junkies, chronic, druggy, like these are stigmatized words. Instead, we want to use person first language. We want to say a person who uses substances, a person with an addiction or a substance use disorder, a person with lived experience, right? Or lived experiences, or I just heard recently, lived expertise. One of my mentor says that, and I really appreciate that framing. Moving forward, we have a section on peer support, which is really an essential part of the healing journey. Peer support workers are people who have been successful in their own healing process, who help others that are experiencing similar situations. And then, so through this kind of shared understanding, the mutual kind of empowerment, peer support workers are able to help people become and stay engaged in their own healing process. And it reduces the likelihood of use, of continued use. So peer support services can also reach beyond like clinical or treatment settings into everyday environments, and are able to help in like peer support groups, right? So we can see that that space being offered through a lens of peers, right? That kind of fellowship, that creating mutual support groups. We also include information on culturally focused and Indigenous peer support, which can really help a person become ready and willing to seek healing support by helping the person really explore their options of healing through cultural modalities. So they can help engage through an Indigenous lens, offer insight, and help those who use substances as they become resourceful and thrive and ignited, and help them to choose what pathways of healing are best for them. Okay, I made it to the end. Woohoo! Okay, I'm gonna switch back to our PowerPoint real quick, just to finish up, and then start thinking of your questions that you might have for us. Okay, let's see. Okay, so I want to kind of circle back. Oh no, I want to show you the resources folder. Hold on, okay, so when you fill out the form at the end of today's session, you'll be sent a link to download this resource. And what it looks like is totally right here. Okay, so this is what it will look like. This folder contains the full toolkit right here as a PDF. It also contains folders of additional resources, which are all linked throughout the toolkit. Just for so you can see these printable pamphlets. They're all linked in here as well for you to download. Just kidding. Oh, it kicked me out. Well, I hope you saw it for that half a second. I'll try to open it up again on the side. Okay. So each one of those folders is linked within the toolkit itself, and has additional PDFs within there. They're printable resources. There's lists of cultural learning opportunities. There's Mo'oku Auhao worksheets. There's Ho'olauna worksheets. There's a lot of different worksheets within there. So please check it out. Actually, we can go ahead and share the Qualtrics form. But before I open up the floor to questions, I just want to kind of circle back to the ahupua'a. So the ahupua'a that I shared in the beginning, right? Which provides our framework that we are approaching all of our work in this field, and where we begin to envision cultural interventions along the ahupua'a to provide the healing that impacts not only the individual, but their ohana and their community as well. So these interventions are, again, they're cleaning that vai, right? They're cleaning the vai along the ahupua'a. So we begin to envision these cultural practices within the ahupua'a, and they're small because, you know, it's like for scale, but I'll show some more blown up pictures of them here. So we start to envision, right, our lo'i. This is what it looks like today in our lo'i, right? Have our images that are creating ceremony, creating our space through oli. We have our hula as healing, right? We have our other traditional practices, pounding poi, making lei, things that we maintain good intentions. We have our hoi wa'a, right? Our spending time in going through our kukuluku mohana framework, invoking our dimensions of well-being, spending time with our ohana, learning our practices, learning our mo'olelo. And so we've envisioned these cultural practices. They exist within our ahupa'a system, and they are lending themselves to begin cleaning our vai so that we can create a healthy space for all of us, a healthy ahupa'a with our happy and healthy kalo that come up out of this healthy ahupa'a. Okay, so I'm going to open it up for questions. But before we get to questions, I really want to mahalo our Ola Lōkahi tech team for being so on top of it and sharing all of them and all the links, all the resources in the chat for us. Mahalo nui. Okay, I want to open it up for questions. If you want to be unmuted, you can raise your hand and then we can unmute you to ask your question verbally. Okay, the first question I see here, were those printable resources in the toolkit ones available on Ola Lōkahi's website? Mahalo for that question. So right now, because all of you folks that are attending get early access to the toolkit, we're going to ask you to fill out a form, and then we're going to send you the link to be able that I showed you here, which has all the folders of the additional resources, the printable stuff, and the toolkit for download. That's how we're distributing it to you folks right now for early access. The final version of the toolkit will live on Ola Lōkahi's new website, which will be live in about mid-January. So it will live on there permanently. But for now, the resources being made available through this link that you folks will be sent after you fill out that form. And the form is really simple. It's just like what community do you want to bring this into? Just for our own records, wanting to make sure that you're supported in any intention that you want to do with this project. Do you need additional help? Do you need us to come and bring trainings into your community on different aspects of the toolkit? Do you need naloxone? Like, how can we help support your use of this toolkit? That's basically all it's asking you. So go ahead and fill that out. How did you recruit people to join the community listening sessions? What steps did you take to create safe space for the community to share? Mahalo for that question too. Yeah, so when we held the community listening sessions, we sent them out to all of our listeners, and keeping in mind that we had to put a cap on the meetings due to COVID safety precautions. So we distributed them to all of our people who have been involved in any of our previous stakeholder meetings. We put many of the notices out. I think some of them went out in our newsletter, and then the rest were emailed to listservs from previous continuing education webinars, people who came to any of our other trainings. And so they were distributed like that. That's how we brought people into the community listening sessions. We also have, I mentioned our advisory council. So our advisory council for our work in substance use consists of 2 people from every island. And so that is in an effort to make sure that there's a voice of each island in that space. And so in going to each island, we wanted to go through, the Pono channels really to ask if it's okay to come into that community. Does the community even want us to come into that community, right? Do they even want to talk about it? So a lot of the previous conversations that we had with people before attending was, about creating safe space for people to share. We shared the ahupua'a framing for it. Our sessions were facilitated by social workers, our Kanaka social workers. And I think there are really great spaces to talk about a lot of these topics. We do have reports that will be coming out from our phase 1 reports are already Paul and ready for anyone who would like them. Our phase 2 reports should be ready, I believe, by the end of maybe December, maybe the beginning of December, or potentially January, but they're almost ready to come out too, and we'll be holding sessions to present those findings as well. And then, does anyone else have any other questions? Any other questions?
There's a question in the chat.
Okay. I need my glasses for that one. The print is smaller. Okay, folks in early recovery are often without a lot of natural and community resources. They don't own land, property, and they don't have healthy family systems. Independent housing and employment, sometimes 2 or 3 low-wage jobs remain the perceived success points within our systems. How can we support dispelling how can we support dispelling these things as the goals of recovery? You know, that's a tough one. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, like life in Hawaii is hard, right? We are all struggling to kind of survive in Hawaii, which is upsetting, right? And a lot of with the huge influx of tourists and people that come to buy houses within our area really blocks a lot of our access that we can't even have to a lot of our resources. You know, for me, what I guess comes to mind is a conversation we've been having a lot lately, which is to try to kind of build Pilina with a lot of the organizations that are already doing incredible INO work, you know, to create space for people to do that if they want to, with community work days, right? Being able to talk about healing or not talk about healing. Maybe it's a personal process when you're attending one of these things. I think also in Hawaii, what I've noticed is that our current systems focus a lot on treatment and prevention and not very much on recovery. And so I think that that's something we have to look at about increasing our recovery-oriented perspectives within the system and creating spaces for long-term healing, right? Because your healing doesn't end, right? Like you're always going to be perpetually healing. So we need to create new ways of creating that supportive space to our communities so that they can continue to access those areas of healing. What that looks like, it's going to look different for everyone. Because as you mentioned, right, if you have 2 or 3 jobs, when are you supposed to go to one of these events, right? If you're struggling to make ends meet, you know, I think that's going to be something that we definitely need to continue the conversation about. Mahalo for asking it. Just want to see if anybody else has any questions. Did I miss any others in the chat?
No, just a lot of mahalo and aloha. Oh, one comment.
Seems housing and employment are expectations of probation for offenders to meet as prepared in a service plan to add to the answer about earlier recovery. Yeah, maybe an act of legislation. I think that it would be good to also just like approach it on a community level, you know, because I think I don't know, I might be biased, but I think the best recovery supports come from the community, right? Like that's where it should be centered. So maybe it's about, you know, shifting our overall perspective of it, right? And starting from the healing, because when we start from the healing, then, you know, perhaps that shows a better, a more accessible pathway, especially for those that have been in been having interaction with the system along the whole way, right? It's to help kind of shed a light on how we can do better, for lack of a better way to kind of say it. But I think that's a great topic to continue to discuss. And on that note, actually, so I want to put it out there that we hold a working group on Native Hawaiians and substance use. And we are doing a lot of upcoming projects that were really focused on cultural healing and what healing should look like for our people, even across the country. So I want to put out the opportunity to attend our working group meetings. Right now we meet quarterly. So for our next meeting, I'll be sending out the meeting link to everyone in case anyone that is on this session now is interested in joining. We hold them on I think it's like the second Friday, I want to say, at like 11, from 11 to 1. And so we dig really into these issues. Supporting Kanaka on living on the mainland and might not have connection to language and traditional practices. Yes. So that comment that is in the chat right now, mahalo for that, because that is one of the projects that we'll be working on coming up here. And that's going to be working on supporting our Kanaka that are also living away from their ancestral homeland, right? Because that's a lot of people, right? A lot, unfortunately. And speaking as someone who spent way too many decades of their life disconnected from being able to live on my own ancestral land here in Hawaii, I spent a lot of time living on the continent and was disconnected from my cultural practices, which caused a lot of issues in my life. And so I very much align with that, the need to create that space for our Kanaka that are living away, that connection. That's what the concept of this whole toolkit, right? The Hui Ana Nā Moku. It's not just the Hawaiian Islands that we're connecting, it's everybody, right? It's all the islands, the whole continent island, right? We're all being connected by this, and to rebuild our bonds to each other, to ourselves, our ohana, our culture, our ancestors, all of it.
There's two questions in the Q&A. The first one is, do you suggest this toolkit for only Native Hawaiians, or do you feel other Hawaii residents could utilize? And if you had any thoughts on using this toolkit in suicide prevention, because harm reduction is so relevant to this.
Okay, mahalo. I'll start with the question about if it's only for Native Hawaiians. No, it's not only for Native Hawaiians. I mean, I guess it kind of depends on, we have a huge local culture, and it is not, our Hawaiian culture is not exclusive, right? It's about ohana. So I think it could be used by anyone living in Hawaii, or that feels that resonance with Hawaiian culture and Hawaiian spaces. You have that respect, that deep aloha for Hawaiian culture, and it resonates with you, then that's the important part, right? That's the healing. If the healing way doesn't resonate with you, then it's not going to help you, right? So as long as it is something that you can resonate with, and if you need extra support in utilizing it, that's what we're here for. So reach out. And then thoughts on using the toolkit in suicide prevention. I haven't thought about it, but I would be definitely open to the conversation. I don't do much in the area of suicide prevention, so I would love to have a continued conversation. Please feel free to email me if you want to talk about it. Differentiate Hawaiian culture from local culture. Okay, so are you asking me to differentiate Hawaiian culture from local culture? Hawaiian culture is Hawaiian culture, our indigenous culture here in Hawaii, with ancestors that descended from, pre-contact. Local culture is, I use that term to encapsulate people who have been ingrained in the community and have grown and lived here for a very long time, that have I guess deep respect and aloha for the land, for the people of this space, for everyone. That's what I feel that local culture. I hope that helps. Do you have a definition that you want to share? do any of my colleagues on this call want to chime in? Kia'i? You have mana'o? No mana'o. Okay. I hope I answered those questions. You know, my email is here on the screen. Please feel free to reach out to me. Oh, I see. Just wanted to be sure that my understanding is concurrent with yours. So, mahalo. Yeah, so feel free to reach out to me. I'm open. I'm open to having further conversations. And I will be sending out links to, I think our next working group meeting will be in January. So I think you can tentatively mark on your schedules the second Friday in January from 11 to 1, and I'll send out a link for you folks to put in your calendar. I'll use the list of people who attended this. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and close our space then today if there are no other questions. Oh, mahalo. Oh, mahalo. Okay, sorry, I'm just going through the, seems to have a long-standing convo about local culture. Whoa, where'd it go? A stew is it each culture mixed or each culture retaining its flavor in a host culture broth. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I mean, you know, that's not for me to say, right? Because I can't speak to everyone's culture. We in Hawaii, many of us have many different ethnicities. I have many different ethnicities, you know, and I think that's an individual question for each person. You know, and I've always been taught to respect and learn about all of my ethnicities. Sometimes, I'll be honest, like I feel like I dive super into the Hawaiian culture because that is what has resonated most with me in healing. But when I began to be more, get further along in my own healing journey, I began to see how important it was for me to really go through and realize all of who I was. Look at all of my different ethnicities and the culture and the historical aspects of my entire family, and learning how that all continues to live within me. So I think that's an individual question about, you know, retaining own culture or a more mixed kind of culture. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and close our session. Again, feel free to email me if you have more mana'o that you want to share. We can voila all about it. Yeah.
Sorry, I promoted Makani to panelist because I think he had a question. He can
Awesome.
unmute himself and turn on his camera if you'd like.
Okay, perfect. I'm ready.
Oh, Kalamaya, I was a little bit late. I had group session. I just wanted to share on the top. Can you hear me okay? I just wanted to share on the topic of Native Hawaiian practices and other cultures. So here in Waianae at our Malama Recovery Services, I have a Native Hawaiian based program. However, I have currently about 68 clients, Japanese, Korean, Po'ehaole. Just a quick story. I had a haole boy came up to me and said, you know, none of this pertains to him because he, as he says to me, I'm haole. And I said, okay, well, what is your ethnic background? And he said, oh, I don't know. I said, okay, let's use Native Hawaiian practices to influence your research into who you are. So about a week or two goes by and he comes back and he says, oh, I did my mo'oku auhau. I'm Scandinavian, which means I'm a Viking. And so I said, that's amazing. So I said, I encourage you to find out what your people did when we had this type of ma'i. And he just dove into this thing. So he took the cultural concepts, Native Hawaiian concepts, and he used it for his own culture. So it works. Native Hawaiian concepts work and practices work. You just have to get them to think from their point of view. So I think I seen somebody said earlier that Native Hawaiians, we have a responsibility in a kuleana to teach others. And I think that works because sometimes other cultures need encouragement to look at their own culture through our practice. So I think it works.
Mahalo. Yep, that sound. It was like Auntie Lahela, because that sounds like a Auntie Lahela. Yeah, mahalo. I learned, yeah, Auntie Lahela has been just an incredible researcher for me too. She I don't know if she's the one that said that, but she comes to mind when you say that. Like, you know, it's our kuleana, right, to share. So I appreciate you sharing that with us. Mahalo.
It was difficult. I every once in a while I'll get complaints that, and to be honest, I've had a complaint that my program is racist because we do focus on Native practices. So now what I do, I call my program is more of a cultural program than specifically Native Hawaiian, because I have to make it all inclusive.
That's interesting.
It's surprising what encourages other cultures to do. You know. So
Yeah.
Anyway, that was my manao. Kalamai.
No, mahalo. Sorry, my computer screen just went off and doesn't want to come back on. So hope you guys can see me. I don't know if you can. Yeah, mahalo, Makani. Makani is our Lanai representation on our advisory council, and has been really awesome to have and to be able to vala out with. I wanted to see, okay, we're at 54. I'm going to go through our final announcements just to kind of close our space. I want to make sure people have the link to get their CEs if they want it. And then I'll open up a space if any of our other advisory council members want to kind of chime in. So again, mahalo nui to everyone for attending our session today. Mahalo nui to our guest speaker, Kawila, and to all of our advisory council meeting members for sharing all of their ike and helping me go through the entire toolkit over and over and over and over and over again. So mahalo nui to all of you. After you log off, also a huge mahalo to our artists, Kimo Paka, and all of the people who their ike inspired all of the sections within the toolkit. After you log off from today's session, you will be redirected to an evaluation form, and we'll also drop that in the chat for those joining from your phones or iPads or anything. Sometimes the auto direct feature doesn't always work. So please complete the evaluation and you'll automatically direct you to the attendance verification after that. If you need continuing education credits, so that's how you do that. We're also going to drop into the chat the link to request your free download of the toolkit. So that form will also ask your hopes for utilizing the toolkit, if you need any additional support, or if you'd like to request additional training for your community or your organization on any of the pieces of it, or the whole thing, or whatever you want, whatever you're looking for. After completing the form, you'll be automatically sent a download link. So please also note that this is still an early version of the toolkit. We may adjust some things for clarity before we post the final version, which will be available on our website, which will launch in January of 2023. And so with that, we have about 4 more minutes. I think all of the things are in the chat. Please let me know if there's anyone from our, I think Kavena was, Kavena, do you want to speak? If she's still here, I'm not sure if she's still here.
She said Ole.
Oh, okay. Do any of our other advisory council members want to share any mana'o? Or our audience participants? I can hang out for a little bit if people want to talk, but if not, that's okay too. Mike Timatos Mahalo. Auntie Lynette teaches that for those of us who are not Kanaka Maoli, to invest the time to learn about our own cultures so that we can learn about and from other cultures. Yep. Mahalo. Yes. Mahalo. Yeah, mahalo for sharing that, Makani. I'm just like, I'm kind of still thinking about that. I'm like, why that's not, you know, like, why did you have to, you know, change it? Like, can't we, isn't it about healing? Like the point of trying to share these spaces, the point of creating this healing is to heal, right? To heal through shared experience. Like, that's so interesting. Okay. All right. Well, if no one has any further questions, then I want to close this space with the E Wana chant. One moment. So this is the inspiration for this toolkit came from this Oli. So I wanted us to kind of close this space with this Oli, and I'm going to play it from the Pu'uhuluhulu protocol website because it has the Olelo on there, so we can follow along. And it's a collection of voices, and it really brings in the mana of the space on the mauna that has brought people together. Like that was one of the most unifying spaces in our recent history, and I just want to bring that mana into this space. Oh man, did it stop sharing like in the middle of it? Anybody?